Good evening, CAHPERD. Welcome to our October CORE session. The CAHPERD Online Resource Events, or CORE, is one of the many benefits of a CAHPERD membership. These monthly events provide our members with 100% free quality professional development. Today's speaker is Matthew Bristol. Matthew is currently teaching preschool through 8th grade at Putney Central School in Vermont. And he is also a past member of the SHAPE Vermont board. On top of all of that, he was also SHAPE Vermont's Middle School Teacher of the Year in 2020. Matt, welcome to CAHPERD. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Will, and everyone from CAHPERD for having me this evening. And I'm super excited. I saw Will this past summer in Kentucky, and he approached me about this opportunity, and I thought it was an amazing opportunity for me to take. So thank you. It's come to fruition, and here I am. I'm here to talk to you about cultivating a bike culture at your school. So what that's going to look like is me sharing a little bit about our story here at Putney Central School, a very small public school in southern Vermont, and then going forward and sharing the different perspectives we've learned, looking back, reflecting on 8 years of a bike program, some big roadblocks we've come to, some successes we've had, and hoping that you can take something away from our story to help you build your program if you do not have a program, or just to add to what you already have. So thanks again for this opportunity, and we'll get started. So I joined the Putney Central team 9 years ago. So this started my ninth year. And when I showed up, you know, as an early teacher, you're quickly asked to do so many things, right? Like you're asked to join this committee or coach a soccer team or join this club after school. So quickly that happened to me. And one of the things that popped up was joining after school bike club. And so I was curious, but at the time I didn't have a bike. Growing up, I had a bicycle. I think the last bicycle I had at the time was in college, and it got stolen, and I had not replaced it since. So I was quickly wanting to say yes, to be that yes man early on in my career. To all you people starting your career now, learn the power of saying no to save your sanity and your own self-care. So quick plug to that. But I had to go out and buy a bike. I was like, man, this is part of this culture. I just moved to this town. I've moved 2.5 hours away from where I grew up. I'm still in the same state, born and raised in Vermont, went to college in Vermont, and now still teach in Vermont. But I moved to this new area. I had no bicycle, but was being asked to join this bike club. And so I went to the local bike shop, and they hooked me up, and I got myself a nice mountain bike. And couple weeks into the school year, I was joining the after school bike club, which was once a week, and it was 2 hours long. And we just went out and rode trails and roads that were safe for the kids. And the kids were aged 5th grade through 8th grade, because we do have this large span at our school, being preschool through 8th grade. I know there's many of you out there that have that same setup, a large age span. So we targeted this older group, and we went out and we rode every week, and it was really great, and I enjoyed it. And so after a couple of years, my principal comes to me with this idea about a bike library. And I go, oh, that's an interesting idea. Like, what's a bike library? And he had this all kind of already planned out, which is the easy piece for me when we talk in the second part of the conversation, which deals with how are you going to gain admin support and how are you going to fundraise, which my principal came to me with this big idea. So right now you can start to think about what your big idea or your big dreams are going to be around what bikes will look like at your school and what your bike culture will look like, because that's ultimately what I'm trying to share, is how we developed a bike culture and how you can maybe take some of our story and implement it at your school. So he comes to me with this story about a bike library, and it's basically using one of our yearly fundraisers we do in our town called the Lantern Dinner, where the local food co-op comes out. They provide all the food, the local community comes out for this beautiful lantern dinner on the soccer field, and all produce of money goes back to a certain program that the school decides to target it towards, right? So some years it's our winter sports program, some years it's a theater program. So he comes to the town and asks for the lantern dinner to be targeted towards this bike library idea, which is to purchase a fleet of bikes, as many as we can purchase with whatever funds are raised, and to bring them into the school for kids to use. A lot of kids were showing up to this mountain bike club with Walmart bikes, rusted chains, and just busted. We spent more time fixing bikes than we did riding bikes. And this is a long-standing program that I came into. I mean, it had been going on for years before I even showed up. So it's something I kind of jumped into and learned. Like I said, there was this big culture already established where I was. So the lantern dinner was our fundraiser that we used, and that provided us enough money to purchase around 12 to 15 giant brand mountain bikes from our local bike shop. And the rest came after that. Like, we just thought about getting access to bikes for kids to use, mainly in this established bike program that we had. We didn't think about PE class. We didn't think about riding bikes before school. We didn't think about riding bikes at recess. So there's all these different avenues we could think of once we had the bikes that we could use them for. We have them. How can we use them? But then we also had to think about things like storage and maintenance and sustainability. How we're going to keep the program going. People is always a big thing, right? Who's going to organize and keep track of everything and be there to support the kids on the bikes. So there's a lot of things that we didn't think about before we went out and purchased them. We just went and got them. And we also added in some extras, like a pump track and a skills course, which were really fun features for the kids to enhance their skills on top of learning how to ride safely and learn the rules of the road and how to stop properly, which is always fun to teach with a bunch of young students on bikes. But when we ordered the bikes, again, we thought about our preschool through 8th grade range. So we bought a few Strider bikes. We bought a few 20-inch rim bikes. We bought a few 26-inch rim bikes. I mean, they were different size bikes. So the next issue we came to was the fact that I didn't have enough to properly teach this for one whole class in PE without the support of either other types of wheels or the students bringing bikes from home. And that's when I'm glad I've made some friends recently in other parts of the country who shared their stories about their, not necessarily their bike programs, but their wheels programs, which is what I hope to adopt going forward, which is not only having bikes available, but any type of wheel that a kid can move their body on safely and learn how to move and stop and enhance their skills from those basic fundamental rolling on wheels skills. So as I said, we didn't have enough to teach in PE class, so we slowly asked for donations and grew a whole different fund in our funds just for bikes and bike maintenance. So we slowly purchased a few more bikes of the sizes we needed. After a few years, we had enough bikes, probably around 30 bikes. So our initial purchase was around 15, and now we stand around 30, 8-9 years into the program. So that's just really quick and short. The Putney Central story started with no bikes and ended with 30 bikes, mainly due to this extreme culture that there already is established in our Putney community. We have community members who come out and work at that mountain bike club after school. And then once we had the bikes in my hands, like I said, I found what other ways can we use these bikes? How can we use them? And so I started just pulling them out in the morning at recess, and kids would jump on them and ride them at morning recess, as well as in lunch recess. I'd have students sign up, but that became too much on me, and it was way too much work on me. So that sustainability piece was not keeping up. So we had to find, we have not found ways to keep doing that, especially with COVID. The bikes have kind of been dormant in COVID. So we're at a part in our program where we need to reevaluate, which I think is very reasonable 8 years into a program. If you have never reevaluated anything, it's something you probably should do more like every year or every couple years. So where we are left now is for you to dream big. When it comes to you thinking about your bike program, I want you to really think about dreaming big and think about what your big ideas are. I think the first big 3 things you really need to think about are your target population in terms of who are you going to focus, what age span are you going to focus purchasing bikes for and your bike curriculum on. For example, if I could redo mine, I would maybe focus on 3rd through 5th grade and purchase bikes for 3rd through 5th grade. And maybe purchased a handful of Strider bikes for my pre-K students to get them working on those essential skills like balance. Next is how will you use them and what will your program look like? So how will you use them and when will you use them? Who might be in charge of these programs is something you want to start to think about. And then how will you gain the admin and the financial support? That's really often a big roadblock. And as I shared in my story, I did not have that roadblock. My admin came to me with the plan, and I just had to do all the work after that in terms of keeping it safe and sustainable, which is a lot of work post, but I can always go back to him and I have that support nonstop. He's still here with me. And so I go to him and say, hey, we have 2 bikes we need maintained. And he takes them down to the local bike shop. He gets them maintained. He brings them back. It's a really sweet gig for me, but that's not everyone's case. So once you've thought about your big 3, your target population, how are you going to use them and when are you going to use them? Who's going to use them? How will you gain admin support and financial support and community support? You can start to think about where will you purchase them. I suggest the local bike shop to support your local community and gain that rapport so you can go back to them for the maintenance. They often can get good deals on great brand bikes. Then you need to think about how you store them. We ended up storing them in our gymnasium using like the hooks you would maybe hook in your garage, like bought from Sears. It's like paneling and has a little hook. You just hook the tire to it. And ours are just hooked into our gymnasium. Little messy, but we do have the tile flooring, so it's easy to clean. We've also, throughout COVID, used the storage containers that you can just purchase from local storage companies, I guess I would say, and used padlocks to lock them up overnight. So there's lots of different ways. It really comes down to like what your situation is. And as we all know, we all have different situations in terms of where we are and going back to how you will use them. Our school is on 150 acres in rural Vermont. We have tons of land to ride bikes on and safe sidewalks to ride bikes on. That might not be your story. Are you riding bikes in the gym? Is that allowed? Are you riding bikes? Like these are the different, like the really intricate roadblocks that you might have at your school that other people don't have. Is, do you have a soccer field to ride on or a blacktop? What spaces do you have to ride in is really the ultimate question there. So those will all go into how will you use them. That big question I said is one of the top 3 questions. So I'll quickly review the second 3 questions were, where will you purchase them? How will you store them? And how will you maintain them? I will plug some sort of maintenance club. If you have any type of club activities at your school, such as an after-school bike club, maybe there's a secondary day for kids who are really into learning how to maintain them. And then you get someone from the local bike shop to come once a week and they help teach the kids how to maintain the bikes and keep them nice and ready to ride for the next day. And then obviously in physical education class, the teachers teaching them how to ride safely and respect the bike and take care of the bike from a standpoint of just not throwing it on the ground and not leaving it outside in the rain and there's a lot of little things that we can do with the bike to keep it maintained without even actually getting our hands dirty. So what I want to leave you with is really just thinking about critically about like what your roadblocks are and how you're going to get over them. If admin support is your biggest roadblock, how are you going to develop that relationship with your admin, and how are you going to develop a story that's really going to sell them on purchasing bicycles at your school? If you already have bicycles at your school, how are you going to take it to the next step if that's what you want to do? Can you look at getting support for putting in a pump track? If you don't know what a pump track is, quickly type it into YouTube. It's pretty cool. So I was saying the final step is to look at all your roadblocks and have those kind of thought out and covered before you approach admin if you are lacking admin support. Dream big when it comes to fundraising. How can you gain the funds? But also don't forget about your local community, and don't forget about sending letters home to parents about a survey. Who has a bike at home? What kind of wheels do you have at home? What can you get the kids to bring before you even go and purchase anything? Start small is really the main thing. If you don't have anything and you don't have any support, start small and just get the parent support, and work from there. Yeah, I'm just happy that I had an opportunity to move and live in a community that really values the bicycle and supports the bicycle. The bicycle is something that I've noticed it brings students like to school. They want to come to school because, oh, I get to ride a bike today. I can ride a bike at morning recess to start my day on a bicycle. So it brings a lot of joy back to the school, which is nice on a daily basis. And it's really all I have for you. Is kind of casual. I was told to keep it low tech a little bit. So it's a little bit of a story, and but make sure we'll give all my contact info. Please reach out to me. My Twitter handle is Putney Phys Ed. But yeah, that's all I have for you tonight. And I thank you for this opportunity and sticking with me this evening. So thank you.